Hey guys, we are Vinok. We're an indie rock band based in Kiev, Ukraine. And I'm Natalie, the lead vocalist and keyboardist.
And I'm Ilya, the drummer of the band. And we also have Anton, unfortunately, who is not with us, but he is another core member of the band, and he is our amazing bassist.
Exactly. So, we formed the band back in, well, a while ago, but we officially launched the band back in 2019 when we released our first EP album, Wise Blood. So that was kind of the big kind of first hello, we're Vinok getting out there. But before that, we had been involved in different musical projects, individually, together, and we really connected on the basis of just what we wanted to promote through our music and the overall message. And me, Ilya, and Antoine, like, we just felt like, okay, something needs to change. We need to do something with our music and keep it real, because we also noticed a trend of like
Definitely keep it real.
a lot of rock bands shifting into more electronics, which is cool, no criticism there, but we decided to kind of keep that authentic, real live sound in our music. Do you want to add anything?
I mean, I think Natalie pretty much summarized it all very well. But yeah, I mean, for us, when we're connecting with Antoine and deciding to join our forces together as musicians, it was very important for us to make sure that the message and the stance that we have as individuals and as a band, that they're all in sync together. And so I would say that that was sort of foundational for the band, and then after that, everything else was naturally flowing. So as Natalie was saying, keep it real and keep it live. Kind of make an accent on the live music performance, where we think a lot of that is sort of shifting away and losing its authenticity.
Or as Sinead O'Connor says, rock is being murdered.
That's right. Or as Arcade Fire says, rock is dead, or is dying. So I mean,
so we're trying to keep the rock alive as much as possible.
That's right. So we sort of answered that question already by mentioning Arcade Fire, but Arcade Fire is definitely the top 3 favorites for us. We also are big fans of Florence and the Machine. I would say one of the earlier Florence and the Machine, such as Lungs, Ceremonials, where there was more of a rock presence within their music. And
for Antoine, definitely Rage Against the Machine. He's like obsessed with them. Anything Rage Against the Machine is like where he goes.
He's sort of like a member of Rage Against the Machine that Rage Against the Machine doesn't know of. So
yeah, exactly. For me, definitely a major influence, and for all of us, has been the Cranberries. Very inspirational. Arcade Fire, Florence and the Machine. Early classics. Did you mention your 70s bands?
I mean, I'm a huge fan of Gentle Giant and Weather Report, just in terms of learning their different instrumental parts, and same thing as with Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Fleetwood Mac.
It seems like a lot of the bands in the 70s really weren't shy with expressing their what they believed in, and expressing different musical sounds and structures, where right now there's a major lack of today, since it seems like a lot of just bands and just the industry in general, they're just conforming to particular structure, and a lot of the musicianship is being lost.
Yep. So we have had the opportunity to play lots of live shows, especially after we released Wise Blood, our first EP album. We performed at several big Ukrainian festivals here, which were awesome. Lots of energy, different responses, a lot of positive feedback. And then in contrast, we organized a Central European tour, which was our first official tour as a band.
It was extremely fun.
Really fun. Lots of different responses. I think one of the most memorable was definitely the Slot Art Festival, which was actually a competition. Do you want to tell about that one?
Yeah, that one was. I mean, so it was really cool because uh, we were playing in different cities in different countries around Central Europe, but then the sort of culmination, as Natalie was saying, was within at the Slot Festival in Poland,
Wrocław
and it was at this sort of abandoned
Monastery.
monastery, and where you had all these different artists performing, and just many different events happening at the same time. So we won the competition. We were supposed to be playing on the main stage, but unfortunately we had to leave. Then we were supposed to be playing on the main stage the following year at the festival, but then COVID came, so
COVID came.
that canceled all those plans. But all to say is that with our performances, we definitely try to connect as much as possible with the audience. And for us, it's always super exciting to be performing at a new location where no one has ever heard of us before, and really trying to win over the audience and see how they react to our music. And so that's really what gives us the drive and the energy, and to connect with the audience, and that's really what keeps us going as a band.
Yeah, definitely.
So we think that as musicians, it's almost as a duty to be analyzing, dissecting, and then really facing full on the various issues that we as a global society face nowadays. And I mean, there's just so much pain out there, so much injustice that it's sort of, not a crime, but I mean, as musicians, you have such a unique opportunity to be addressing these issues, and you
And
have.
actually influencing in a way that maybe some people don't even realize they're influencing, because the impact, whether good or bad, has an influence, especially on younger generations. So definitely with our music, or any art form, even film industry, especially the film industry, and um, yeah, I would say any form of art, it has a social impact, and it really is a duty to kind of raise awareness of these different issues, injustices. And a lot of people say, oh, I'm not political, I don't want to get involved. But no matter what, you're taking a stance through the art you're putting out there. Um, and of course, you can do it in a delicate way, in a way that helps people kind of um, figure things out on their own, right? Without like projecting your own, you know, opinion. But
We're opinionated.
we're opinionated.
And I mean, we want to be the change
But
makers for good, obviously, with our music. And so for us, we definitely do our research, and then we make our stance, and we try to give a voice to the voiceless, and to really stand for those who are sort of the most difficult positions, and who are going through a lot of pain. And so as musicians, we think it's our duty, and we would suggest to you, if you're a musician, that you also should be, fighting against the injustice, and making a positive impact on this world. And so, yeah.
So definitely, as an expressive arts therapist, mental health provider, and even Ilya, as a journalist, we've witnessed and experienced a lot of the injustices in the world, a lot of the pain that people go through, and we've experienced, and we believe again that it is a duty to kind of raise awareness of those issues through our music, but also especially in the music industry. A lot of it is geared towards whatever's going to make the most money, whatever's going to get the most feedback, whether good or bad. And like we said previously, that kind of the rock world is dying. That real authenticity is kind of fading away, because a lot of the music world is turning into whatever sells. And on one hand, we get it, like we understand that we need to survive. But on the flip side, it does have quite a negative influence on people, especially younger generations. And that's something that definitely the music industry needs to change, by, bringing awareness to mental health issues, and not doing it just for the sake of like making it a marketing strategy of what's going to sell, especially because the pandemic, everybody's like wanting to take care of themselves. And yes, of course, take care of themselves, but that's something that should be inevitable and something that we should want, not just because it's going to sell. Does that make sense?
I think that makes complete sense.
Anything you want to add there, Ilya?
No, I think you covered it pretty well. So with current projects, definitely there's been impact with the COVID. Obviously, a lot of negative impact, but ironically, there's also been, we try to stay positive, there's been also positive impact. So for us, the positive is that we're able to fully concentrate on our album Holy Fool and to bring it to completion and to release it. And so we actually, during the first few months, I think a lot of musicians could associate with it, is where they didn't really know how to react to the pandemic. But then we sort of, put our strength together, and we were able to focus specifically on completing the album. On the negative side, obviously, we were planning to have a tour in Western Europe, and we had to cancel on that one, and also on a number of other different local concerts. Obviously, there are no venues, and so there's definitely a lack of having that live performance and live communication with our audience. But we adjusted, and now we're moving on.
And we also, through it all, we did had the opportunity to do a few virtual shows, which was very different for us, especially as like a full-on rock band who plays live. But it was a kind of a different experience to be able to connect with people virtually. And even more recently, when we released our album, we had like an online question and answer party, for like 3 hours. At first we thought, okay, like not nobody's gonna come, but nobody's gonna stay for 3 hours. But we had some really
they went by
awesome people
quickly
that joined, and stayed with us for the full on like 3 hours. We listened to the album, and they could ask us questions, share feedback. So that was definitely a really kind of intimate experience for us, and something that may or may not have been possible without the circumstances with our friend COVID here. So the overall process of the album, we actually recorded the album in different stages, different levels, we'd say, but at really good studios here in Kiev with some pretty amazing musicians, sound engineers. We started with the drums, as usual. And then, yeah, we had a really good opportunity to work with different professionals here in Kiev. And then really privileged to be able to work with Paul Walton. Do you want to share more about him?
Yeah, Paul Walton, he worked with some, amazing and
legendary
performers out there. So, you could take U2,
Bjork,
Massive Attack, Bjork, Birdie, and so a lot of different top-notch musicians out there who made it. And so we were privileged to be working with Paul on this particular album, and the full album. Then also we worked with him before as well on our previous singles and EP album. So quite lucky and very honored to be working with Paul. Then also with Rudy Martinez, who mastered our album as well, and who is amazing as well as a professional. So we were very thankful for those opportunities, and we during the process we just worked with a whole bunch of cool people.
Yes, we did. Next question: what projects can we look forward to seeing in future.
So that's a secret in terms of what you can be seeing from us, but you might be able to hear and see a few singles and perhaps maybe even an EP album. So
who knows? And definitely shows is something we're really looking forward to. So we just recently performed at Rock and Buch Festival, which is a pretty big festival here in Ukraine. This time it was at an airport, an abandoned airport, and they had legit really big airplanes next to the stage, so that was cool.
with a helicopter flying by. And the cool thing was that the audience, considering COVID restrictions, they were supposed to be sitting in cars, and so we had hundreds of cars in front of us honking and signaling at us
It's
during
kind of
our
like a
performance.
movie theater outside, but concert venue outside with cars, and yeah, really different, but very unique in the sense that like it worked.
It was extremely fun, and I mean, the weather was bad, but because of the unique opportunity for them to be sitting in cars, they actually all stayed and they didn't scatter around. So it was really cool and fun, and actually also a unique way of organizing concerts. So who knows, maybe that's going to be in the future a lot more of that.
Very true.